सहनावतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांति। वासुदेवेन्द्र योगेन्द्रं नत्वा ज्ञानप्रदं गुरुं मुमुक्षूणां हितार्थाय तत्त्वबोधो विधीयते। In this text, Tattva Bodha, we are now studying about the universe and Maya topic. The qualifications of the students is covered, and then Atma Vichara was done. Now Srishti Vichara is going on. So we have, we did an elaborate class last week about the theory of creation, Maya, etc. So those who did not attend last week's class, please listen to last week's video. I don't think so Sudarshan has put it up in the YouTube yet. So whenever he puts it up, please listen to that. So, in this topic, he says, now we shall explain the evolution of the 24 factors. What are the 24 factors? The 5 elements, 5 organs of perception, 5 organs of action, and then 5 pranas, and then the 4 subtle body, the mind, intellect, ego, and ahankar. In fact, subtle body, you say all the 19. 5 organs of perception, 5 organs of action, the sukshma, not the gross. And then pancha pranas, then mind, intellect, ego, memory. All this 19 plus 5 elements put together is 24, he says. Guru has chosen to split it this way. We can split it in whichever way we want. So he says, now we shall explain the evolution of the 24 factors. Then he says, Brahmashraya sattva rajas tamo gunatmika maya asti. He talks about Maya as Brahmashraya, that which is dependent on Brahman. Maya is the nature of 3 qualities of sattva, rajas, tamas, and exists depending upon Brahman. So this we discussed in detail in the last class. So the Shastras say the world has emerged out of Brahman, but Brahman has no motive to create the world. The existence of Brahman leaves the potential of not understanding Brahman as Brahman in it. So that Brahman plus the potential of not understanding Brahman as Brahman, what we call as ignorance, is what is called as Maya. So that Brahman plus Maya is what is called as Ishvara. So we say Maya Sahita Brahman is Ishvara. So from this Maya, which is the material cause, this universe has come about. And in this universe, when we observe, we find these 3 gunas, sattva, rajas, tamas. Where it should have come from? It should have come from the basic material with which it is made. Therefore, Maya is trigunatmika, sattva, rajas, tamas. These 3 gunas are in Maya in the potential form. So when Ishvara, the consciousness, the sentient principle, expresses through this Maya, this universe has come about. Now, like I said, Ishvara has no motive to create this universe, because if you put a motive, then you are reducing Ishvara to a limited level. It is limitless, unlimited. infinite. It is paripurna. There is nothing lacking for it to have a motive to create. So therefore, we say Ishvara is only the intelligent cause. In the mere presence of Ishvara, the potential Maya has expressed itself as this universe. And Ishvara remains, Brahman remains in its pristine glory, whether or not the world is projected, even without the world being projected. So Brahman is Satyam, whereas the world is Mithya. Maya is Mithya. Maya depends on Brahman. Brahman is independent. Therefore, we say Maya is Brahma Ashraya. It is something that is dependent on Brahman. Brahma Ashraya Sattva Rajot Tamo Guna Atmika Maya. This is Maya. So, Maya is the material cause and Ishvara is the intelligent cause. We purposely use the word Ishvara because Ishvara is nothing but Maya Sahita Brahman. Pure Brahman, there is no creation. There is no creation, nothing. Brahman is not misunderstanding itself and the world has come about. Brahman is remaining in its pristine glory. So therefore, we say Ishvara is the cause of this universe. Who is Ishvara? Brahman plus Maya. And what is Maya? Dependent on Brahman. Brahman is not dependent on Maya. The combination called Ishvara, Ishvara is not overpowered by Maya. Ishvara using Maya, the world has come up. So Swami Chinmayanandaji gives this example. Policemen have tied up a pickpocketer and then taking him to the police station. They've shackled him. The same police are giving protection to the president of the country. In the front of his vehicle and the backside behind of the vehicle, a lot of police. But president is controlling police. Police is not controlling president. In the case of a pickpocketer, police is controlling the pickpocketer, not the other way around. Similarly, Ishvara controls Maya. Maya doesn't control Ishvara. Whereas we are all creation that has come out of Maya. The Jiva, the individuals. Now, these Jivas are all controlled by Maya. You understand? So, Ishvara controls Maya. Ishvara is not affected by Maya. Whereas we are controlled by Maya and we are affected by Maya. So why we have to study all these things? If we have to take control over Maya, we have to hold on to Ishvara who controls Maya. You directly deal with Maya, you will be finished. So you constantly keep association with Ishvara through the Shastra explained by the Guru. So you have to constantly keep in touch with Guru and Shastra and do the sadhana which will keep you in association with the Ishvara, the body, mind and intellect. Then as you are in association with Ishvara, you can deal with Maya. This is the idea. Understand? The snake has to be around the neck of Lord Shiva. Then the snake can ask Garuda, hey buddy, how are you? Garuda is an eagle. Eagle will finish up the snake easily. But snake is now around the neck of Lord Shiva. So the snake can ask, how are you, man? Similarly, we can deal with Maya only by identifying with Ishvara. For that reason, we have to understand all these things and shift our attention from this Maya. Now, the entire universe, everything has evolved from Maya. You can say it is evolved from Ishvara. Now, whenever you are developing some kind of attachment to the world, you use this knowledge and say that all these are nothing but expression of Maya. There is no pith or substance in it. and develop vairagya with reference to that. Now, in case you are developing hatred towards things in the world, then you tell yourself through the same knowledge that all are actually nothing but the expression of Ishvara. Then you start conquering that hatred. So it is right to say the world is an expression of Maya. It is right to say world is an expression of Ishvara. Both are correct only. You understand? So by constant knowledge, you can go on destroying the ego attachments through the Jnana Marga, where you destroy the ego by sharp focus of the laser analysis. All these are expression of Maya. Now, the same thing you can do through the process of bhakti. It is also jnana. Bhakti and jnana are not diverse from each other, like some of us may misunderstand. So then what do you do? Everything is nothing but Bhagavan. So you develop devotion, love towards everything. So either you destroy the ego through jnanam, viveka, discrimination, and negate it that it is expression of Maya. Or through the same discrimination which functions as bhakti, you identify with everything and say, this is also Bhagavan, that is also Bhagavan, everything is Bhagavan. In that, the ego is expanded and dissolved. Either way, the ego is dissolved. Then what remains is divinity. This is the idea. So now, when the creation comes out, it is the world that we are seeing now is the gross universe. The gross doesn't come directly. You understand? It comes in stages. First, the subtle comes. Then the gross comes. Any evolution is like this. Any creation, any invention is like this. First, whatever the product that is invented today was first conceived in the mind. It was in the subtle level. Then it took the shape and came out in the gross level. So similarly, what he's saying here is, from Maya, the subtle elements came first. Not the elements that we are experiencing now. Subtle elements, called as tanmatras, pure elements. From that, the subtle body, sukshma shariram, comes. Then comes stula prapancham, gross elements. Stula, bhutas have come. Then from that, the stula shariram has come. This is what he's going to explain now. Is the way in which the evolution has come about. Because now the thing is, we have to work backwards. Though he is explaining from the subtle, gross has come. Now subtle is something that you cannot experience. Where is the subtle element? Show me. But we have to go from the known to the unknown. You understand? Known is this gross elements. Now, gross elements, if you see, they are having, each of the gross element has all the other four elements also. If you take the gross earth, it has space, it has water, it has fire, it has air. Like that, each of the gross elements. You analyze the gross water, other four will be there in it. You analyze the gross fire, the other four elements will be in it. So then we understand that if they have mixed and have become the gross, then they must have existed in its pure form before. You understand? And from where that could have come? That could have come from ignorance, Maya only. So you see these three gunas here. Then you say these three gunas have come from the subtle elements. From that it has come, which has come from Maya. That has come from Maya. Why? Because Ishvara is that consciousness, enlivening principle, which has no gunas. So Ishvara, Maya. What do you say? Ishvara is the sentient principle, isn't it? Chaitanya Swarupam. Maya is Jada Swarupam. And Maya is going on changing. Vikara. Savikaram. Whereas Ishvara is changeless. Nirvikaram. Consciousness doesn't change. Nirvikaram. Isn't it? And Maya has gunas. Ishvara is nirguna. So Maya is saguna, Ishvara is nirguna. Maya is mithya, brahmashraya, dependent. Ishvara is satyam, not mithya, independent. You understand? So this Ishvara is beyond gunas, no qualities, no gunas. So the whole thing has come from Maya, which is just enlivened by Ishvara. The mere presence of consciousness, whole universe is come about. So when you talk about Karana Prapancham, what is the Karana Prapancham for the whole thing? Ishvara plus Maya. Then comes Stula Prapancham. Now Ishvara will continue enlivening everything. First, the total ignorance called Maya, enlivened by Ishvara, Karana Prapancham. Then from that, Sukshma Prapancham or Sukshma Bhutam, they come. Then Ishvara is enlivening them also. That is Sukshma Prapancham. Then Sukshma Shariram will come. Then Stula Prapancham. Ishvara is there in everything. You have to add Ishvara in everything. Then Stula Shariram will come. Then when Ishvara is enlivening that, Stula Shariram, who become Jiva. This Jiva. You, me, all of us. You understand? So this is what is explained. So now, when the gross must have come from the subtle, which must have come from the cause, all this we have seen. So then, in the subtle also, what comes first? The subtlest comes first. Then the next, in the order of, subtle to gross, it comes. Subtlest, then the next level of subtlety, then the next level of subtlety, like that, slowly it comes to the gross. Amongst the subtle. Amongst the subtle, the subtlest. So this is what he is explaining from now on. So this Maya has a veiling power. You understand? Maya has two powers called as veiling power and the projecting power. So these two powers are there inherent in Maya, called as Avarana Shakti and Vikshepa Shakti. Now, Avarana Shakti doesn't work with reference to Ishvara. It cannot veil Ishvara. But Avarana Shakti works with reference to us. So, Ishvara uses the Maya's Vikshepa Shakti and the world is projected. Once the world is projected, the Jivas come. Now, Jivas are covered by the Maya's veiling power and we do not know all these things. So now, through Jnanam, by constant association with the Ishvara Jnanam, we develop detachment with reference to the world, attachment to the Ishvara. Slowly, slowly, the vasanas drop and we evolve, is the whole idea. So now he continues talking about the evolution of 5 elements. That's the next topic. Let me share the screen. So now he's talking about the evolution of the 5 elements. Tata akashaha sambhutaha akashat vayuhu vayos tejaha tejasa apaha Adbhaya Prithivihi, Adbhya Prithivihi. He's saying, first from that Tata, then, Tata means then. Then comes what from Maya, what is the first thing that has come? He says space. From that Maya, then space is born. Space was born. See, space is the subtlest of the elements. Space is the subtlest. Now, whenever we produce something, you have to produce from the basic material, you add something to it and create something else. So, from Maya, the space is born. Adding what? Shabda, sound. You understand? Because it is the subtlest of all elements. Why? How do we say it's the subtlest? Subtlest means it is more pervasive. You understand? The one which is more pervasive is more subtle. This is one important aspect of determining the subtlety. And it should be beyond the cognition of majority of the instruments. So, sound travels in space and sound can be contacted only with ears. No other senses can contact it. So, the less number of senses could only contact the subtlest. Gross, all senses can contact. So, this is another one. You understand? So, the lesser the number of qualities and more pervasiveness, that determines the subtlety. So, with reference to space, there is only this quality of sound is associated. So, when this quality of sound is associated with Maya, space comes about, which could be contacted only by the ear. So, that's the subtlest. So, then he says, from space, air has come. Akashat, Vayu. Now, we have to understand one more thing. In Maya, we said Triguna Atmika Maya. So, in Maya, there is Sattva, Rajas, Tamas. If in the basic material Sattva, Rajas, Tamas is there, in the product that has come from that also this thing should be there. So, then we have to add. So, in space, what is added? Sound. Maya plus sound, space. In that space, there is these three gunas also. Sattva, Rajas, Tamas. So, there is Sattvic, Rajasic, Tamasic space. Like this, we'll have to see with reference to air, fire, water, earth. Why this is important? Because next he is going to say, from the Sattvic aspect of space, air, fire, water, earth, what all has come. From the Rajasic aspect of each of this, what has come. From the Tamasic, what has come. That's how he's going to talk. Therefore, we have to understand this. Hence, I am explaining this. So then he says, from space, the air comes. The next level of grasping. Now, air can be contacted by what? The sense of touch. You understand? The skin. So, ear and skin can contact air. So, it is more gross compared to space. But it cannot be contacted by the other. All the other. So, therefore, from space, air comes. From air comes fire. Now, fire can also be seen. The color and form. You understand? So, the sound, the sense of touch, both put together is air. Then sound, sense of touch, plus color and form, put together, plus Sattva, Rajas, Tamas is fire. The Sattva, Rajas, Tamas you have to put in everything. So that is fire. Now from fire comes water. In fact, fire is the first element that can be seen. Hence, we use fire as the symbol to represent the divinity. You understand? Of the elements, from subtle to gross order, you cannot see space. You cannot see air. But the first element that can be seen is fire. Therefore, fire is taken as a symbol to represent a divinity in majority of the religion. So from fire, then he says, comes water. So in water, what all are there? Sound. And then sense of touch. Then color and form. Then taste. Water per se is tasteless. But without water, no taste is possible. So the next gross element in the subtle elements, we are now discussing subtle elements. Please understand this. In the subtle elements, which is the order? Space, because that's the subtlest. Then air, then fire, then water. Then from water what comes? Earth, because the sense of smell is also associated. All the five senses can contact earth. You understand? So therefore, the grossest is earth, the subtlest is space. So from that Maya, this is how the subtle elements have come about. So now what we have to do? We have to add, when in Maya, when sound is, the quality of sound is added, space comes. Along with the quality of sound, what is there? Sattva, Rajas, Tamas is there. Then with that space, just the quality of sound, Maya, and Sattva, Rajas, Tamas, sense of touch is added. Then from that, with that, the sense of color and form is added. Then the sense of taste is added. Then the sense of smell is added. Then all the five elements have this way come about. What elements? Sukshma Bhuta, called as Tanmatras. They have come about. So now space has sattvic, rajasic, tamasic aspect in the subtle. Then air has the same sattvic, rajasic, tamasic aspect. Similarly, fire, sattvic, rajasic, tamasic. Similarly, water, sattvic, rajasic, tamasic. Similarly, earth, sattvic, rajasic, tamasic. All the five elements have sattvic, rajasic, tamasic. Now, he's going to say, from the sattvic aspect of space, what has come? Sattvic aspect of air, what has come? Sattvic aspect of fire, sattvic aspect of water, sattvic aspect of earth, what has come? This is what he's talking about. Then he'll say, from the combination of sattvic aspect of all this, what has come? Then he'll talk about the rajasic aspect of each of it, what has it produced, and what is the rajasic aspect of the combination of all this, what is it produced. Then he will say, the tamasic aspect went through certain process. What is what we call as panchikarana. From the tamasic aspect that goes through panchikarana, the gross elements come, then the gross world comes. This is the theory he explains. You understand? This is the order. So now next. Etesham panchatattvanam madhye akashasya sattvikamshat shrotrendriyam sambhutam vayoho sattvikamshat tvagindriyam sambhutam. This much first we'll see. Next, Agne sattvikamshat chakshurindriyam sambhutam jalasya sattvikamshat rasanendriyam sambhutam prithivyaha sattvikamshat granendriyam sambhutam. All the five elements is said. So what is saying? Amongst, from among these five great elements, out of sattva, sattvic aspect of the space, the organ of hearing has come about. That capacity to hear, the subtle. You can only see the gross ears. You cannot see the subtle. That Shakti to hear, the organ of hearing, has come from the sattvic aspect. See, it's very interesting why he calls it a sattvic. Now, I already discussed Sattva, Rajas, Tamas in one of our classes. Please recollect that. Sattva is power of knowledge. Rajas is power of activity, action. Tamas is power of inertia, indolence. All these three together is universe. There is power of inertia also. There is power of action, activity also. And there is power of knowledge, the balance is also there. So now, the power of knowledge is sattva. Through the organs of perception, you gain knowledge. So it should have come from the sattvic aspect only. You hear something and then you gain the knowledge of it. You touch something and you gain the knowledge of it. Like that, every sense organs helps in gaining the knowledge called as organs of perception. We call it as jnana indriyas. So out of the sattvic aspect of the space, the organ of hearing, the ear, has evolved. Then from the sattvic aspect of air, the organ of touch, the skin, the Shakti, the subtle one, not this gross, has evolved. Because I already discussed this. Air can be contacted by ear and sense of touch, the skin. From the sattvic aspect of fire, what is added there? Color and form, which is associated with seeing. So it says from the sattvic aspect of fire, the organ of sight, eyes, evolved. From the sattvic aspect of water, taste. So the organ of taste, the tongue, has evolved. The Shakti. From the sattvic aspect of the earth, the organ of smell, the nose, the Shakti, the subtle aspect has evolved. So, first, the Sukshma Bhutam came. From that sattvic aspect, certain Sukshma Shariram has come. Because Jnanendriya is also what? Heart of Sukshma Shariram. Don't forget, we studied 19 aspects in the Sukshma Shariram. What are they? 5 organs of perception, 5 organs of action, 5 pranas, and 4 Mano, Buddhi, Ahankara, Chit. These 4 put together, subtle body. So, Jnana Indriya is part of subtle body, Sukshma Shariram. So, this Jnana Indriyas have come from the sattvic aspect of each of the 5 elements. What he said. Now, he is going to talk about the sattvic aspect of each of them total put together is what is producing the 4 subtle bodies called the mind, intellect, ego, and chitta. That he is going to talk about now. Yetesham panchatattvanam samashti sattvikamshat manobuddhi ahankara chittanta karanani sambhutani sankalpa vikalpatmakam manaha nischatmika buddhihi. Then aham karta ahankaraha Chintana Karta Chittam, Manaso Devata Chandrama, Buddhe Brahma, Ahankarasya Rudraha, Chittasya Vasudevaha. So what he's saying now is, from the total sattvic aspect of these five elements, from the total sattvic aspect of these five elements, the inner instrument of the mind, intellect, ego, and memories are formed. The mind is of the nature of indecision. Sankalpa vikalpatmakam manaha. The mind is of the nature of indecision. What is intellect? Nishchyatmika. So, the intellect is of the nature of decision, decisive. Ego has the notion of doership. Ego is the notion of doership. It arrogates. I am the doubting Thomas. I am the decisive person. I am that which remembers everything. So it arrogates everything. Ego is of the nature of notion of doership, arrogation, kartrutva. I am doing. Everything is associated with me. That is called ego. Memory is of the nature of thinking or recollection. Also, you recollect and you think from what you have recollected. Then he goes about talking about the presiding deity, which again we discussed it before. Whenever he talks about the presiding deity, please understand what he's saying is everything is associated with the Brahman, but not directly through the different Shakti of Brahman. So he said the Prime Minister and the ministers, those examples we gave. So, though finally the sanction is coming from the Prime Minister, the ultimate authority, it is coming through the respective ministry. So, you want something in agriculture field, you go to agriculture ministry. You get the sanction. So, it is actually coming from the Prime Minister, but through that minister. Like that, there are different presiding deities. But in Hinduism, in Vedanta, Hinduism is not an ism, it is way of living. Now, there is only one God. In fact, there is only God. This is what we are studying. It is God that is manifested as this universe. There is only God. You understand? Then we also talk about various deities in this context. So the presiding deity of the mind is the moon. The presiding deity of the intellect is Brahmaji. We try to make some sense out of it. Now, if you see, during, the Amavasya and Paurnami, full moon day, half moon day, has a lot of effect on the mind. Especially you can see it in the people who are disturbed. So, from like that, we can try to make sense out of it. But these things, certain things, when Shastras say we have to accept with Shraddha. So it says the presiding deity of the mind is the moon. Then the presiding deity of the intellect is Brahma, creative force. Through thinking, decisions you create. So then of the ego, Rudra, the destructive force. Of memory, Vasudeva, is associated with certain deities. So what is important for us here is, don't worry about these deities. What is important for us is, from each of the sattvic aspect of each of the elements, one sense organ of perception is come. We say the total sattvic aspect of all this put together, the mind, intellect, ego, memory has come. What he wants to say is, when you see the stimuli finally gets registered in the mind. If the mind is elsewhere, while I am talking, the sound entered through the ear will not register it. So each of the 5 organs of perception is finally ending in the mind. That one mind, when you go deeply and analyze, is split into 4, called Mano, Buddhi, Ahankara, Chitta. You understand? So, therefore, the five organs of perception is tied to the mind, which is split into mind, intellect, ego, memory. Please understand this. So therefore, he says, from the total sattvic aspect of these five elements, the inner instruments of the mind, intellect, ego, and memory are formed. Total sattvic, because through the thought, when the consciousness strikes the thought, you say, I know. Knowledge comes. Awareness is reflected. All this mind, indecisive thoughts, decisive thought, ego, memory, all are what? Conscious. Just knowing, I know the confusions, I know the clarity, I know the arrogation, I know the stored up memories. So all is knowledge. Therefore, they are all coming from sattvic aspect only. Now, the next thing, the discussion will move to rajasic. Rajas means what? The power of action. So from the rajasic aspect of each of these elements, what should come? The five organs of action. Then the rajasic aspect, the total rajasic aspect of all these elements put together, the five pranas come about, is what he's going to say next. Let's get on to that. We'll come to this slide later, which you must have seen now in between, but where the whole thing is put in a nice PowerPoint presentation for us to easily understand. We'll come to that later. He's saying next about how the evolution of rajas aspect. Etesham panchatattvanam madhye akashasya rajashamshat va indriyam sambhutam vayoho rajasamshat panindriyam sambhutam vagnehe rajasamshat padendriyam sambhutam chalasya rajasamshat upastendriyam sambhutam prithivya rajasamshat udendriyam sambhutam etesham samashti rajasamshat pancha pranaha sambhutaha. So what he's saying is, among these five elements, from the rajas aspect, what comes from the rajas aspect of space? Again, you have to go from subtle to gross. So you talk about space first, then air, etc. But you're talking about the rajasic aspect. So from the rajasic aspect of space, what comes? He says, the organ of speech. Sound travels in space. So the organ of speech is formed. From the rajasic aspect of air, the organ of grasping, hands are formed. You understand? Grasping, the sense of touch is associated with grasping. Hence, he says, from the rajasic aspect of the organ of grasping, the hands are formed. Rajasic aspect of the organ of grasping, the hands are formed. Air, from the rajasic aspect of speech, from the rajasic aspect of space, the organ of grasping, hands are formed. From the rajasic aspect of air, the organ of grasping, hands are formed. I made a mistake when I explained it. From the rajasic aspect of air, the organ of grasping called the hands are formed, because the sense of touch is associated with it. Then from the rajasic aspect of fire, you understand? Fire, the organ of locomotion, the legs are formed. Energy is required to move. So the association is with fire. The aspect of fire, the locomotion, the organ of locomotion, the legs are formed. Then comes from the rajasic aspect of water, the organ of procreation is formed. From the rajasic aspect of earth, the organ of evacuation is formed. Then he says, from the total rajas aspect of these 5 elements, the vital airs, pranas, pancha pranas, prana, apana, samana, dhyana, udana, all associated with activity only, function of digestion, distribution, all that called as pranas, thought absorption, all that has come from activity. So it's all evolved from rajas. From the total sattvic aspect, mind is evolved. From the total rajasic aspect, pranas have evolved. Please understand this. So, each of these pranas are associated with this, each of these 5 organs of action. So, therefore, he says, organ of speech comes from rajasic aspect of space. Organ of hand comes from rajasic aspect of air. Organ of legs comes from the rajasic aspect of fire. Organ of procreation has come from the rajasic aspect of water, jalatattva. Then the organ of evacuation comes from the rajasic aspect of earth. Then from the total rajasic aspect of all these 5 elements, the vital airs, pranas, prana, apana, samana, vyana, udana has come from. This is how they evolved, he says. Now let's get back to the previous slides where you can see the whole thing, So the evolution of sattvic aspect, what? Space, air, fire, what? Earth. Scope is what? Through the space the sound travels. Air, touch, fire, form, color, form, water, taste, earth, smell. The sense organs associated with that what? From space, ears come. From air, skin. From fire, eyes. From water, tongue. From earth, smell. Then what are the devatas associated? We already studied. Space, Dik Devata. Air, Vayu. Fire, Surya. Water, Varuna. Earth, Ashwini Kumaras. Smell, So then, the next one. From the total sattva, what comes? Space, air, fire, water, the total. The mind, intellect, ego, memory have come. Doubting tamas, indecisive mind. The decisive intellect. The doership ego, arrogating doership ego. Then memory, which is also called as conditioned consciousness. And consciousness conditioned by our thoughts, we become conditioned consciousness. Then there is different devatas for all this. Chandrama, Brahma, Rudra and Vasudeva. These are the 4 devatas spoken. Now come to Rajasic aspect. Now Rajasic aspect which we studied just now. Rajasic aspect of space, speech comes. The organ of speaking, organ of speech. Then from air, grasping, hands come. From fire, movement, legs come. From water, elimination. I think it's wrongly given here. This printing mistake has to be rectified. From water comes pleasure, genitals. From earth comes elimination, anus. The presiding deity are Agni for space, Indra for air, Vishnu for fire, Varuna for water, Prajapati for earth. And what are the, faculty? Speaking through organ of speech, grasping through organ of hands, locomotion, movement through legs, procreation through, this again has to be changed, procreation through water or the organ of procreation, and then elimination of waste through organ of evacuation. This is whole thing you should understand. The last 2 is a mistake in the slide. They made a mistake, we'll rectify it. So this is the old concept that he's talking about. You understand? So First, the five elements come about, subtle elements. Sukshma prapancham. Sukshma bhutam comes. Space, air, fire, water, earth. Then from the sattvic aspect of space, organ of speech. Organ of hearing. Sattvic aspect of space, organ of hearing, ear. I told you, why sattva, power of knowledge. Why rajas, power of action. So when it comes to organs of action, we talk about the rajasic aspect. When we talk about organs of perception, jnanendriyas, we talk about it as sattvic aspect. So from the sattvic aspect of space, what has come? Hearing, the sense of hearing, ears, subtle, shakti. Sattvic aspect of space, skin. Sattvic aspect of air, skin. Sattvic aspect of fire. What has come? From the sattvic aspect of space, ears. Sattvic aspect of air, skin. Sattvic aspect of fire, eyes. Then sattvic aspect of water, tongue. Sattvic aspect of earth, nose. And when I'm talking, I'm touching each of the senses, but I'm touching the gross one. He's talking about the subtle, remember that. Then the sattvic aspect of all this put together, space, air, fire, water, earth, mind, intellect, ego, memory has come. Mind, intellect, ego, memory, indecisive thoughts, decisive thoughts, arrogating, doership thoughts, and the storage house, memory, thinking and recollection. All this put together, we generally say mind. See, the five organs of perception, called as sense centers, tied up to the mind, which is split further into four. Mano, buddhi, ahankara, chitta. Then he gets on to rajasic aspect. The rajasic aspect of space. What has come? Organ of speech. The rajasic aspect of air, organ of grasping, hand. So first is mouth, then hand. Then the rajasic aspect of fire, movement, locomotion, legs. The rajasic aspect of water, the organ of procreation. Rajasic aspect of earth, organ of evacuation. The rajasic aspect of all these five elements, total, the five pranas have come. Prana, apana, samana, vyana, udana. Now, all these things put together is what? Sukshma shariram. Isn't it? All these things put together is Sukshma shariram. What are the 19 aspects of Sukshma shariram? 5 organs of perception, 5 organs of action, 5 pranas, and 4 aspects of the mind called mano, buddhi, ahankara. All this put together is 19. So we have so far seen what? This 19 plus the 5, space, air, fire, water, earth. All this put together is what? 24 tattvas is what he said as 24 constituents. How they evolved, let us see now. He started this discussion like that. All this put together is, this 24 put together is all sukshma, all subtle that we have studied now. We haven't still come to the gross thing. We only studied about now sukshma prapancha and sukshma shariram. Once the sukshma comes, from that only sthula comes. When it is sukshma, it is pure. When it is sthula, it is mixed. It's gross. That sthula is what we know. Sukshma we don't know. So through the known, we infer the unknown. You understand? So, though in the creation this comes first, but how do we establish this? From what we see. The known to the unknown, the gross to the subtle. When it evolves from subtle to gross. But what we know is only this gross. So from that we, infer. We deduct. Say Sukshma existed before Sthula, and it should have come like this, and it should have come from Ishvara only. But Ishvara has no motive. Therefore, this ignorance is introduced. So all this has come from that ignorance. Is the whole idea. So then he will talk about how the cross comes. Now that is where he is going to introduce the tamasic aspect of each of these 5 elements. Now, when he talks about each of these 5 elements from which the gross world has come about, he's going to say that first, this tamasic aspect of each of these elements went through certain divisions, then combining with each other, then the gross world came about. This we will study next week. That is called as Panchikarana. So next week we will study that. I don't want to bring in too many things on the same day. Also, we have very little time. Therefore, I'm not getting into that. The tamasic aspect, how the world, gross world evolved, we'll discuss next week. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.